Season-ending interview from Bill Belichick this morning at Gillette Stadium. The 2019 Patriots are over. I'm Sierra Goodwill here with Mike Petraglia and Evan Lazar. As one would expect, Bill Belichick still very hesitant to talk about the future at all. He said it's 12 hours after the game. I'm not prepared to talk about the future. We haven't thought about the future. Those are for a different time. Pretty much what we would expect.
And he's not going to feed into the frenzy that is going to follow in the days and weeks to come regarding Tom Brady, regarding several other key free agents on the roster that he also 20 free agents.
20.
And that's a lot of decisions. And Bill Belichick did acknowledge here on Sunday morning that there are a lot of important decisions coming, but it's going to be a group effort in terms of the organization. As long as he's here and still here, he's going to do his best to sit down with everybody involved, because he also stressed there are multiple parties involved in these decisions. It's not just one player. It's not just him making the final decision. That's what he wanted to make clear here on Sunday morning.
Yeah, and Trace, you might remember a little bit better in the early part of the dynasty, but to me, this is probably the biggest offseason in the history of the Patriots, maybe ever, right, in terms of this organization.
In the last 20 years, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's not just Tom Brady. Tom Brady is obviously a massive, massive one that we can't ignore. Number one by a long shot. And that's what makes it the biggest offseason in the history of the Patriots, because you take that name off the top, it is kind of like all the other off seasons where there's a couple of key free agents on both sides of the ball and you go about your business. But at the same time, you look at that defense and you look at the core of that defense that's really gotten them to this point, and Devin McCourty and Kyle Van Noy and Dante Hightower is making a lot of money for some people, the production that has on the field as well. It just is a lot going on there. Joe Thuney at left guard, obviously another big one. And the Patriots have a ton of decisions. And I thought Bill Belichick was actually pretty fair in his response, acknowledging the fact that this could be a massive offseason for them. And we could see a lot of turnover on the roster from top to bottom, right, from Brady on down. So it's going to be really interesting. And unfortunately for fans, we have 2 months until the league year starts in March, the 2020 league year. So none of these answers are going to come soon.
The other thing I would say real quick here is Bill Belichick never, ever wants to be wrong in trying to predict the future.
Right.
That's one of his MOs, and it has been in the 20 years he's been coaching here. He'd rather say nothing than be wrong and have reporters ask him after the fact, well, you said this, back, the day after the season ended, and you've reversed course. Why did you do that?
The Patriots also have a ton of holes as well that they need to fill. It's not just that they need to re-sign all these guys. We're talking about all the impending free agents right now, but they also need to add more firepower on offense. I think the defensive line last night got exposed a little bit, and they could use a couple more bodies there as well. So they need to plug some holes, as well as bringing a bunch of guys back with not a ton of cap space. They do have a ton of draft capital, so that might end up being where they go with it, but they don't have, it's not like they have $100 million in cap space to go out there and sign whoever they want. So this is going to be Bill Belichick's going to have to, earn his keep here and really navigate a very difficult offseason. I don't envy his position at all.
And it's not like he didn't utter Tom Brady's name in this press conference. He did say, after a little bit of poking and prodding, that Tom is an iconic figure in this organization. Nobody respects him more than I do. So Patriots fans, don't worry. I think that relationship is still strong. And when asked if he was going to return for the next season, he obviously wouldn't answer that question as well, but I think there's a lot less to worry about there.
Yeah, and again, I go back to what he said. He's going to do everything in his power to help the organization move forward. And then he added, after a very, very brief pause, as long as I'm here. So the assumption is, working assumption, Belichick will be back in 2020. Yeah. And then once that, I think, decision actually may be more important in terms of all of the other dominoes that have to fall than even Tom Brady.
I think it's funny when he says that, as long as I'm here. And I think that it goes back to Bill just not taking anything for granted and realizing that, hey, maybe the ownership doesn't want the greatest coach of all time to coach their football team anymore. I find it a little bit ironic. I mean, he knows that they want him back.
Right,
so
but again, you never assume.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this Patriots Press Pass is brought to you by betonline.ag. Head to their website, enter promo code CLNS50 to receive your welcome bonus. For all of our season-ending coverage, head to our website at clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel at CLNS Media.